Okay, so let's just start our next session in leadership in organizations, uh, furthermore in chapter 1, introducing the nature of leadership. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, the objectives of this chapter are to understand the different ways leadership has been defined, understand the controversy about differences between leadership and management, understand why it is difficult to assess leadership effectiveness, understand the different indicators used to assess leadership effectiveness, and understand what aspects of leadership have been studied the most in the past 50 years. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So definitions of leadership. Leadership, there's so many different definitions to leadership. Leadership has been defined in many different terms, in many different ways, and basically there's a saying that as many persons as going to define leadership, there will be as many definitions. So basically everybody can define leadership differently in their own way. So basically, some say the behavior of an individual directing the activities of a group toward a shared goal. So this is one definition of leadership, which means that basically we are talking about the behavior of that individual, which is assigned as the leader, and he would be directing the activities of the group toward a shared goal. So they all will set a goal, and that's like the common goal within the group that he is leading, and he would be trying to direct the activities done in the group towards that goal so that they will get to the goal that they all share. The other definition is the influential increment over and above mechanical compliance with the routine directives of the organization. So this is like the influential way or method that the leader will choose in order to get the team members into a routine, so that it moves towards the direction that the company is going. So basically, then again, we have these keywords of direction, the directive of the organization, and then comply. So it should be above the level of just a normal compliance that the employee should do. Is basically above and beyond that. And then the process of influencing the activities of an organized group toward a goal achievement, which is similar to the first one. So basically, a leader should be able to influence the activities done by the team members in order for them to get to the goals that the group has set. And about articulating visions, embodying values, and creating an environment within which things can be accomplished. So we did talk about vision, mission, and values in our business strategy course. As we said, the vision of the company is very important. It shows where the company is going. It's like having a big picture, and the leader has to have the big picture and be able to show and clarify the values of the corporation to the team members, and also create an environment in which everything can be accomplished. So a leader has to be able to, first of all, have a vision, be able to understand it, and be able to be visualize the vision of the company, and then after that be able to share it with other team members. So not only just see the values and the vision of the company, be able to share it with the team member, clarify it, and explain it to them so that they will understand and be able to achieve it. So a leader is the one who sees where it's going, where the company is going. It's like the captain of the ship that's choosing directions and sees the sort of hurdles and troubles in a way and explains it to the team members. So in another sense, the leader has to be able to sort of detail all the values in an understandable way, so the team members will be also able to do that. Okay, so next slide. Some more definitions. A process of giving purpose or meaning or direction to a collective effort and causing willing effort to be expanded to achieve purpose. So it's also a process. So leadership is a process that the leader gives purpose or meaning or direction to a collective effort. So there is no doubt that the effort that the team is doing is a collective effort. So it's not that just one single team member would be able to decide or perform. It's altogether the whole team. They work together in a collective effort with decide or result in what the company wants to do. But as a leader, one should be able to give purpose to that effort that the employees are putting in. So it's not just they come in and do something and leave. The leader is the one who gives purpose to what they do. This gives them direction and also helps them understand. And so basically that purpose will give them willingness to do that effort so that they achieve that purpose. So unless you understand the purpose, you won't be able to fully achieve it. If you don't understand what is expected of you and why and what is the purpose of that, it's very hard for you to get it done as an employee or a team member. So the ability to step outside the culture to start evolutionary change process that are more adaptive. This is also one important task that a leader needs to do, and that's stepping out of the culture, be out of a certain culture and be sort of evolutionary change process champion. So as a leader, you have to be able to evolutionize what is being done over there, because if there's a problem as a leader, you just don't be you won't be a bystander watching what's going on. You have to evolutionize the situation and change it towards a better way that gets everyone, especially the team, to their common goal. So it is very important for a leader to be able to be out of a certain environment, I mean, in a sense that see the big picture and be able to direct the whole team beyond the culture. Then the next one is the process of making sense of what people are doing together so that people will understand and be committed. So also, this is very important that the leader be able to make sense of what's happening. So sometimes there's stuff done, and in the policy of the corporation or in the written goals, certain stuff is not written, and it's for the leader to make sense of those and be able to share it with the team members. So people should be understanding what exactly is going on, and being in the picture for a team member is very important, because employees sometimes they do stuff and they don't understand exactly why it's being done. Unless the leader steps in and explain it to them and he understands, the leader needs to be able to understand what's going on, make sense of it, and be able to share it. So there are many times that leaders take it for granted, or they just suppose that the team members know what's going on, and they don't come in and they don't share their understanding and don't clarify. And this confusion leads into underperforming, environment. We want the environment of the work be the one that helps every single person, every single staff to be able to be productive. So for that, they need definitely some major help from the leader group or the leader, so they can share exactly what's expected of them and why. And then, and also have them to be committed, because sometimes the team members or the staff might exactly understand, but it doesn't guarantee that they are committed in getting done what is expected of them. So having team members understand, and secondly, be committed to what is expected of them. The ability of an individual to influence, motivate, and enable others to contribute toward the effectiveness and success of the organization. So in this case, the leader as an individual has to be able to influence the team members or their staff, to motivate them, to enable them to contribute toward the effectiveness and success of the organization. It's very important that the success is not a personal term when it comes to the organization, especially leadership. The success that you're talking is getting to the goals of the organization. So it's basically, it's not necessarily a personal success for the leader. It's like a collective success. It's a success for the company. And that only comes in if the leader is able to motivate the employees and also is capable of contributing toward the effectiveness and success of the organization. Okay, any questions so far? Is everybody following? Do you have any questions? Any comments? Okay, right there. Then we come to this term, leader versus follower. You know, every leader, uh, every leader needs a follower, and every follower needs a leader. What's the difference? The leader is the person with the primary responsibility to perform the specialized leadership role that is designated as a leader. And so the only person that, there's not every person, but there is only one person that has the primary roles and responsibilities that is assigned to him or her as a leader, who is supposed to lead the organization, is called a leader, and the rest would be the followers. But there is a concept here that the leader, which is the primary leader and is assigned as a leader, could also role play as a follower in some certain areas. Let's say, for example, the leader in a certain department, who is a manager, for example, he is the follower of the upper managers who will tell him exactly what to do. So it's just a back and forth relationship. You will lead and you will follow. It's not that you will only be the leader and that's all you do. It's true that the leadership responsibilities would be the major part of your job and you're a leader, but at the same time you got to be following certain other leaders that are above you, and they are dictating for you what to do. And all groups have role specialization, so does the leadership. So there's this concept that leadership should be basically considered in a specialized way, because a lot of people are arguing whether you have to say, okay, a leader has certain responsibilities, and the leader is going to specialize in his role, and so we have to discuss and analyze exactly what is to be done under the leadership. So then they just come in and sort of, say when there's a leader, there's a specialization. They do exactly these kind of uh, designated jobs or tasks that they're required to do, and basically they pay more attention to attributes uh, of the person that a designated leader has. So in this view, there's more attention paid to the attributes that determine the selection of designated leader. So those attributes are those that make someone believe that this person is a good leader or not. So the typical behavior of designated leaders and the effects of these behaviors on other members of the group or organization. So all these aspects are, you know, leadership is the behavior of an individual directing activities of group toward a shared goal. Okay. There's a question here regarding recording the class from Mr. No.3. I'm recording the class, so the classes will be recorded and they're available on your My LMS. And okay, so that's the explanation for your question. I'll answer your question. So as I was saying, explaining, those attributes make someone to be a leader or not in this view. So in this view, also, okay, a very good comment from Mr. Zalmoy Navawi. It is a quality for sure to be able to influence others to achieve the desired goals or what and how you want it to be done. That's very true. You as a leader are the one who influence people to basically get done what needs to be done, and also how you want to get it done. So this is the definition of leadership when we look at it, the idea or viewpoint of a specialized leadership. When we believe that the leaders are specialized in that certain area, and then we will discuss it. But there is another definition here, and that is when we believe leadership is a way of shared influence process. So in terms of an influence process that occurs naturally within a social system. So some people believe that leadership is a social process. So rather than a specialized role, they think it's a process that is happening. So according to this view, as a social process or pattern of relationships, rather than a specialized role. So in this way, they look at it as a social pattern rather than it's a social pattern of relationships between the leader and the follower. So it's like a back and forth social relationship rather than just a specialized role. Because when it comes to role, you just do what you're expected to do, and that will be all. But as a leader, there's interaction, there is this relationship or bonding between you and the employees, and how you perform and how good you perform basically shows the result you get and basically guarantees it. And then we have a question. There are three states of being in life: lead, follow, get out of the way. Yeah. Very nice, Mr. Earl. Yes, yes, there are not many leaders, and not everybody wants to be a leader, and it's not easy to be a leader. But at certain points in organizations, in our jobs, we are assigned to be leading other employees, and that's our job to make sure that we do it correctly. So in this viewpoint, various leadership functions must be carried out by different people who influence what the group does, how it is done, and how people in the group interact with each other. So in this way, it's more of a process and everybody's involved rather than just one person telling everyone what to do and how to do it and interacting. This is involving everyone in the group. So this is basically is in an interactive process that involves many different people who influence each other. This is a shared leadership in a sense. So everybody has an influence in that. It's not just that one person that gets the whole chunk size of leading, that everyone in this case is involved and is leading in a way. The context and conditions determine when and how they occur. The process involving the emergence of informal leaders and consequence for the group or organization is also important. So the context that the leadership is happening, and we call servant leadership. Servant leadership that we discussed in the previous class is kind of different. Share leadership and servant leadership are sort of different. Servant leadership is that type of leadership that is basically only concerned with regard to serving, so like Gandhi and other serving leaderships. But in this case, we have two other way of looking at leadership. One was looking at leadership as a role, and the second one is looking at it as a process. So that's the only difference that we are trying to clarify. Sometimes we look at leadership as something which is just a role that you get, like any other job, you got a role to play, but there's another viewpoint that you look at your leadership role as a process. In this process, you involve everyone. Everybody has a role, and everybody's interacting, and in the context, you do stuff that you're supposed to do. So this is two ways of looking at the same concept, which is leadership. Okay. And so the questions. Okay, awesome. So let's go to the next slide. Leadership is also type of influence process. There's another way of looking at it, and it's type of influence process. In this way, exercise the influence resulting in enthusiastic commitment by followers or their indifferent compliance or reluctant obedience. So there's another way of leadership. There's another way of looking at leadership is by looking at how successful the leader is in getting commitments by the followers. Sometimes the followers would be enthusiastic and committed to what the leader wants them to be, or sometimes they're indifferent. So basically, it is very much more restrictive than the previous two ways of defining leadership because it excludes some of the influence processes that are important for understanding whether a leader is effective or ineffective in a given situation. So they just look at the excitement or commitment of the followers or their indifference, and by that they will sort of analyze the way leadership is done. The only problem in this way is that it leads the leader into unethical way or illegitimate ways of leading. Because when it comes to excitement, if you're very much concerned about having them excited and enthusiastic and committed to what your goals are, you might use unethical power tools to have them or force them to do that, rather than you understand the process and you put them in the process, and within that process they'll become excited and committed. But if you just look at their final performance and you want to force them to do something, that might be encouraging for a leader to use unethical ways, which is a concern. On reason or emotion leadership. Very good question, Mr. Zargo, and we will definitely discuss that in the next few slides about reason or emotion. Actually, it's a very good point that you're making. You're few slides ahead of us. Okay. Then we have a question or comment from Mr. Sharaf, which says leadership is the ability to inspire confidence and support among the people who are needed to achieve organization's goals. That's very true. That's awesome. So leadership has to be able to inspire confidence and then support the team members to be able to achieve the goals. That's very true. That's a very good comment. Thank you. Okay. So this is another type of viewing leadership as we discussed. So let's go to the next one. Then the purpose of influence. So the purpose of influence talks about how the leader has certain purpose. So basically, what the leader does is a part of leadership that is dealing with the outcome, with the result that we get from what employees are doing. So one way of looking at leadership is that leadership occurs when people are influenced to do what is ethical and beneficial to their organizations and themselves. This definition of leadership does not include influence attempts that are irrelevant or detrimental to followers, such as leaders' attempt to gain personal benefits or at the follower's expense. So one way is you would only say that the leader is successful, is doing a good job, if he is just making some ethical and helpful influence on the team members. But the reality of the case is that the leaders not always do that. Sometimes they have their own personal benefits in mind, and they will still do stuff based on those, inner feelings, and then they will get a result which is not necessarily beneficial to the whole company, but for sure to themselves. So that is not correct that we say, but that's one of the way of looking at leadership and say we only consider those beneficial influences as real leadership. So, but the other way of looking at it is they include all the attempts to influence the attitudes and behaviors of the followers in an organization. Because even when the leader has some personal intentions, he's still influencing the followers based on those intentions. And definitely those will have some reactions, or they will get some reactions from the team. So it's not that if you decide to just look at it, it's not going to happen. For sure, you'll make mistakes, and that will come back to you. So basically, we're saying that a leader have multiple motives. Seldom possible to determine the extent to which they are selfless or selfish. Sometimes they have selfish or selfless leaders. There are several different motives for a leader to do what they do. And basically, it's fair to say that the leadership or the leader, what they do, it will lead in a mix of cost and benefits. Some of them might be unintended. Some of them might not be necessarily known by the leader when it's influencing its followers. So despite the good intention, the action of leaders is sometimes more detrimental than beneficial for followers. And if there is an action influenced by only by personal needs of the leader, sometimes it results in unintended benefits for followers and the organization. So domain of leadership process should not be limited by the leader's intended purpose. So in a sense, we could say that the leadership is basically they could have all their own different motives, and it's not possible to just say we just look at the positive motives, because the negative ones or the selfish ones are also making a difference in the attitude and behavior of the employees. And so it's very important to understand that what exactly the leader is looking for and how he is influencing the team members. So getting back to your question regarding the emotional reason, the influence is based on reason or emotion. Most of the leadership definitions listed earlier that I discussed, they are rational or cognitive processes. They are they're looking at the processes in a logical way. The leaders influence followers believe it because it's their own best interest, and also the corporate will achieve the shared goal. But emotion is also important. So some recent conceptions of leadership emphasize on the emotional aspect of the influence much more than reason. According to this view, only the emotional, value-based aspect of leadership influence can account for exceptional achievements. So if you look at successful companies and successful leaders, either leaders that cause something good or leaders that cause something bad, you'll see that they focus on emotional aspect a lot, not just the logical version, because the logical version tells you if you do A and B, you will get to C, and that's like common sense. Everybody does that. But a successful leader is the one who involve you, who will sort of have you, participate in an emotional challenge. In that emotional challenge, you as a follower, you'll be inspired. You will be able to put away your own benefits and think of something higher than that. So this has been very, very important, that the value or culture of the company becomes so important that every single person in that company is sort of going beyond what they normally do. If they have to work for 1 hour, they work for several hours to get done what it needs to be get done. It's just a new way of looking at things, and that has been very successful. Like companies like Apple, people like the employees, they make their employees be involved, but get involved emotionally. So that's to get back to your question. And then we have another one. Is it true to say that a leader makes the thing right? Basically, the leader is the one who does the right, who knows what is right. It's just not just doing things right. It's beyond that. It's basically the leader is supposed to know what is actually right to be done by the employees or team members. So goes back to the vision part. That leader has to have a vision. So it's important for a leader. Yes, absolutely. As we discussed in the previous slide, leader is the one who basically has a vision and knows where the company is going, and it should be able to share it with other employees and team members. So you can't just expect team members to follow you unless you are able to tell them exactly what you expect from them, where you're going, like in the corporation, what exactly is the destination. So if you are not able to share that destination with the employees, you won't be able to basically get where you want to get. It's much you know, related to how the leader sees the vision of the company and is able to share it with the employees. So that is for your question, Mr. Elias. Is there any questions so far? Is there any comments? Welcome. The leader lead the people to meet their vision. Yes, leader lead the people to meet their vision, but make a mistake that the vision that you're talking about is not just the people's vision. We are talking about the company's vision. So what is important for predicting which people become leaders? Achievement, affiliation, power, esteem. So obviously, Zagon, people will when it comes to leadership, their performance or the way that they lead and how they are doing their role and are able to communicate it with the staff will answer this. It's not just the leader will just predict and those achievements and affiliations will be the only factors. Definitely, they are very important and they are major parts of leadership. But what makes a leader is there, as we discussed, there are many different ways of looking at it. But one of them is just looking at the attributes that a leader has, the roles, and a certain person has to have those roles to be able to perform, accordingly. But we also discussed about different other viewpoints about that, so it's not the only way of looking at it. Okay. So then direct and indirect leadership. This is also very important. If we are at this era that gone are the days that we only had a direct leadership. So the leader would come to you and tell you exactly do this, do this, do this, and that's what I expect you to do. That was very successful in the past. People would just tell you or communicate directly what exactly they want, they needed. They would immediately influence the subordinates, and they will focus. They would focus on the behaviors of the employees and address them directly. Like the leader would tell you exactly what he needs differently to be done. But there is another concept of leadership that recently has been very focused on also, and it's influencing like other people inside the organization through others, through peers, bosses, through different levels that they report to the leader. So it's there's a distinction between this direct or indirect. So there are times that there is no direct interaction between the leader and the person who is doing what he's supposed to do. Yes, exactly. That is true. That is very true. I will explain it to you. Cascading, Ms. Masuda, we will definitely talk about it. But in this way, in direct way, as we said, it involves attempts to influence followers when interacting with them. So, like a CEO, attempts to influence followers when they interact with them, or use communication media or send messages, or examples would be like writing memos or reports to the employees, sending them email messages, presenting speeches on television, holding meetings with the group of employees, and participating in activities that involve employees, attending orientation or training sessions and stuff like that. So most of these forms of influence can be classified as direct leadership. But what we mean by indirect one, basically we could say there are three major ways. The first one is when the CEO influence people at other levels in organization who do not interact directly with the leader. And one form of indirect leadership is cascading. So what exactly it is when the direct influence of the CEO is transmitted down to the authority hierarchy of the organization, from CEO to middle managers, and from them to lower managers to regular employees. So cascading is when it goes from level to level. First, the toughest, the highest level, which is the CEO perhaps of the company, gives some sort of leadership influence to the lower level, one just immediate lower level, which is middle managers. Then from them, there will be some influence done from middle managers to regular managers. And from regular managers, there's an influence done on team members. So team members or employees or staff are influenced indirectly by the CEO, and it has gone through all these different levels. So first, the CEO makes a change, then the next level, the middle managers will understand it in their own way, and they'll just communicate it with like a regular manager, and it goes all the way. So we call this way cascading. So that means that there are different hierarchy levels that are involved. Delegation of authority and responsibility to the lower levels, step by step. The delegation is more of a role that we discussed, but this one is not necessarily the delegation. It's basically the influence is done by different people at different stages for different employees. So in this way, it's meant that the CEO will only influence the middle managers, and they'll leave it to middle managers how they want to communicate it with the managers and so on. So it's not necessarily delegating it to different people. Of course, they're all involved, but it's an indirect relationship between the CEO or top management and the lower staff. But the only thing that is very important in this way is that they are all involved and they are all directing some other people. And it might be different. There might be different strategies they use. There might be different, processes they use. So that is also very interesting. And direct leaders, direct influence on lower level employees, peers, bosses, or subordinates. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Then the next type is a formal program. So another type is formal programs, management systems, and structural forms. The leaders might make some changes. Many large organizations have programs or management system intended to influence the attitudes, skills, behaviors, and performance of the employees. Some examples are like programs for recruitment, selection, promotions of employees, structural forms of various types of programs can be used, and procedures and specialized subunits and decentralized product divisions and standardized facilities and self-managed teams and all these kind of things, which are formal, different type of group activities, could also lead into an influence by the leader. So in this way, basically, instead of directly communicating it into a lower level, they devise and come up with forms or programs that is devised by the management team, and they have every team member or staff go through and understand and sort of implement it in their behaviors. So that is another type, which is very common in big organizations. They don't have time to come to you and tell you exactly what to do. They just give you the forms, the syllabus, and everything that is expected from you, and they expect you to follow that, and that's how the way they communicate what they want with you, as a leader to a team member sort of relationship. So that is different from just a direct way of communicating with the leader. Then the next one, which is the third form, is of indirect leadership, involves the influence over the organizational culture. As we said, every corporate has a culture, and that culture involves their values, missions, and all those stuff, and their beliefs. So basically, when the leader comes into the place and they try to make an attempt either to strengthen the existing culture, beliefs, or values, or change them, or better them, there are many ways for a leader to influence our organization culture. Some of them may involve direct influence, communicating, completing the vision, sharing it with everyone. Like, it's good that every single person in the company know the vision, where the company is going, So that's the culture that the leader will put into the place. If your company is like, nobody knows what is the vision, so basically that's the problem of the leader. It's not the problem of the employees, because they haven't been talked into using their culture and what exactly is expected from them. But it's the leader's job to make sure that they do that. Okay, so in this sense, it is the leader's job to basically strengthen or improve the existing culture, or use that in Delta indirect leadership. In details, indirect leadership, cascading, influence over formal programs, influence over organizational culture. Very good explanation from Mrs. Argun. I really like your feedbacks. They are very, very helpful, and it's like complementing our discussion. I like that. Very good. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about, Mrs. Argun. Okay. So the interest in indirect leadership is useful to remind scholars that leadership influence is not limited to the types of observable behaviors. So the good thing about indirect leadership is that it's not just a certain behavior that you can definitely direct and find out that you call it leadership. Sometimes indirect leadership is much more important than the direct leadership. Why? Because in direct leadership, your influence is very limited. If you are going to talk to every single employee, then you have thousands of employees. That's almost impossible. You have to make efficient communication with your employees, and as a leader, it's very important for you to be able to indirectly influence them as efficient as possible. Because if you say, okay, because I'm indirectly communicating with them, so if I don't get what I want, or I get something different from what I want, it's okay, which is not true. You have to be able to indirectly influence your employees the same way that you could influence them directly. You have to use the strategies. You have to know exactly how to use the programs, the formal programs, trainings, whatever it takes to get where you want to get, and not just say, because I can't communicate with them directly, that's why I'm not getting it through. No, it's not true. It's just because you're not doing it right. So the leader is supposed to know exactly how indirectly communicate with their employees, and that's one of the most important roles of a leader. Okay. So far, is there any comments or questions? Anybody wants to add something or any comments? Okay. So seems everybody's okay. So let's go to next slide. Okay, that is a very important concept, the leadership versus management. There's a continuing controversy about the difference between leadership and management. It is obvious that a person can be a leader without being a manager. For example, an informal leader. And a person can be a manager without being a leader. So some people with the job title management, they might do a lot of leadership tasks. So it's really it's really important to understand what is a leader, what is a manager, and how we go about it. So some people believe that management and leaderships are qualitatively different and they are mutually exclusive. So there's if you want to go to for the extreme distinction is a leader builds and board. We discussed that in the first session, if I remember correctly, Mr. Zalmai. We said there is a common myth that leaders are born as leaders, but we want to say that it's not true. Leadership is a skill. And of course, you have some talents, natural talents in you. Whoever is born, they're born with natural talents. But we want to say this course that we can develop those skills even though you were not a born leader. So it has a lot to do with the way that you see it. Okay, got it. So if we want to separate manager from a leader totally and look at it in a way that they are two separate, totally separate things, a manager basically looks for value, stability, order, and efficiency. Manager is very much into details. They just want a stable level of value. They want some order in place, and they want efficient job to be done. I mean, that's a regular manager who wants to just get by all these. It's just focus on the stability of the company or what is needed, and it should be stable and consistent, and there should be some order and efficiency. It is impersonal. It's not personal. It's just a very formal way. They are risk averse. They just don't want to take any chances. They don't let the employees, or they don't give them that free room to trial and error and find out new ways. They just want exactly what is needed, and they're not willing to take any risks. And then they are focused on short-term results. So short-term results are what we are looking at, not necessarily long-term results when it comes to management. Okay, let's see what kind of comments we have here. Leadership versus management. So, Sharaf says, leading is a major part of manager's job, yet the manager must also plan, organize, and control. Deals with interpersonal. Very good thoughts from Mr. Sharaf. Yes, that's true. A lot of times managers, they just do what they're required to do, and the leader, managers, they do a lot of jobs of a leader also. As we discussed, manager is just a title. So at many different times, you're called into a leadership job, even though your title is not the same thing. So if you're looking for a job that does what we are exactly explaining today, don't look for just a title. Look for the qualities of the job that you're asking for. It is very important. You need to understand that. And so that's for Mr. Sharaf. And then leadership is broader in sense that it takes risk and brings changes, ensures achievements. Yeah, that's right. A very nice comment from Ismail. Manager focuses on a system and structure, but leader focuses on people. That's true. Uh, Managers are concerned with doing things right. Leaders concerned with doing the right thing. That's true. A leader is visionary, passionate, creative, flexible, inspiring. A manager is rational, consulting, persistent, problem solving, and tough-minded. Manager is working for a specific result. A leader is working for change, the mind of the people, and bring change into the organization. Leader inspires trust. Manager does the things right, but leader does the right thing. Okay, yes, very good comments. As you all discussed and you understood it correctly, managers versus leaders. Managers are more into just regular sort of routines of jobs, like should be stable, consistent, efficiency, and risk averse, focused on short-term results. Just get the job at hand done, not necessarily looking at the big picture. When it comes to the leader, it's they focus on the value, flexibility. Innovation comes into place. Innovation comes into place when the leader is willing to give some chance to the employees to make mistakes. So when there's risk averseness, as it is with the managers, you won't be able to make any innovation. For you to be able to innovate, you should be able to make mistakes. You should be able to try different things, trial and error, find out exactly what works best for you. So that is the job of a leader. So caring about people as well as economic outcomes. We just discussed that the manager is just looking at short term, just the results, the stability, the numbers, everything. But as a leader, you focus on people also. That's very important. And you have longer perspective as regards to objectives and strategies. When it comes to management, you just look at a short-term job that is at hand, that certain moment, and you just want to get it done. But when it comes to leadership, you are looking much broader. You see stuff because you are the visionary. You are the one who sees the big picture and is supposed to share it with everybody else. Managers are concerned about doing things right, whereas leaders are concerned about doing the right thing. That's exactly what we have been discussing. The leader wants to do the right thing no matter what. Leader establishes direction. A manager plans the budgets for that. Leadership involves aligning people. Manager organizes. That's true. That's true. That's a good comment from Mr. Sharp. So basically, leader establishes the direction, like the vision, as we discussed, and manager tries to do it like in different steps, and that's how the leader communicates it with the manager. Or it could be the same person. First, they get the big picture and share it, and then as a manager, they come in and they try to increment it into small chunk sizes that are doable, and they monitor everyone to follow. So that is also common practice. You see a lot of managers that are leading also. So political issues are all mixed in leadership. That's true. That's true. Okay. So now let's discuss what are the things that a leader can influence. What exactly are those stuff? Let's discuss them. So the choice of objectives and strategies to pursue could be influenced by the leader. So what exact objectives or strategies they choose to get to a certain outcome, uh, it's basically the choice of the leader, and they can influence that. The motivation of the members to achieve the objectives, in order for the leader to motivate the team members and help them to get to their objectives. Okay. To answer your question, Ms. Masuda, as we said, it depends on what exactly the person is doing. You could be only leading the company and not necessarily managing them, but you might be doing everything. So it's not that we can say, or we can give you a one answer for all different cases. It changes or it differs case by case. Normally, a leader is able to manage also, and not always a manager could be a good leader, so it doesn't work the other way around. But as a leader, you should be able to role play as manager if you're called into also. So then the other thing that the leader can influence is the mutual trust and cooperation of the members. Don't forget, the trust that is between the members of an organization is very, very important in getting things done. If the trust culture is not there in your company, if you don't trust each other, if you don't trust your leader or your manager, how could you follow what they tell you? So, or if you are a manager or a leader, if your staff or employees don't trust you, if they think you're not a good captain for their ship and you're gonna make them suffer, how could they listen to you? You know, that trust is the basic rule, is rule number one. Make them trust you. Show some uh, qualities and qualifications so that you could earn their trust. Yeah, integrity is there also. Then organization and coordination of work activities. So there should be a coordinator, or everything that is getting done should be organized. So all the work activities are supposed to be organized. Uh, and the allocation of resources to activities and objectives. So sometimes as a leader or manager, you have the resources, so you have to be able to allocate them correctly regarding the objectives. So if you give a lot of resources to a person that doesn't do much of the objectives, is not required to do much, you're wasting the resources. You should be able to distribute or allocate the resources wisely to the people, to the right people, so that they have what they need to do what they're required to. So that is also very important. Then the development of member skills and confidence. So you need to develop your people. You know, there's a lot of misconception or misunderstanding of leadership, that some leaders just beat up their employees, they just wash them up, they just tell them, like, they humiliate them, they use a lot of unethical use of power, which is totally wrong. If you're a leader and your employee is upset with you, and the way you talk to them is just you're bossing them around, you don't get it. You need to develop people. A good leader is the one who develops the character of the employee. You need to help them to improve. You need to coach them through. You just don't tell them what to do. You just show them. You just train them and walk them through the process. So that's the difference between a leader and probably a manager. Manager just tells you A, B, B, and C, C, I need all these done. That's it. But as a leader, you walk people through. You understand challenges. You walk them through, you understand what is difficult to be done, and you understand why, and you share the vision, you motivate people, you develop people. So that is absolutely the core of a character of a leader. They need to be a developing person. If they just want to bring you down, they definitely are not a good leader. They don't have the right position. Okay. Then learning and sharing of new knowledge by members. That's also very important. Learning is definitely involved when it comes to leadership because you're dealing with change, and whenever there's change, there's new stuff to be learned. And when there's new stuff to be learned, there's stuff to be shared because those who know it have to share it with other people. So it's like a teamwork. And then enlistment of support and coordination from outsiders. You need to be able to bring in whatever you can from outside. You need to be able to use whatever resources that you have as a leader. So as a leader, you need to think out of the box. Design a formal structure, program, the system. We just talked about in previous slides how the leader can indirectly lead by doing that. And the shared beliefs and values of members. We discussed about the vision of the company. We discussed about how the beliefs and shares and values and the vision of the company should be shared, and the leader is supposed to be able to, make everybody understand, clarify it for everyone, and help everyone to be able to do what they're required to. Okay. For some reason, my system is stuck. I don't know why. Okay. So any comments so far? Anybody wants to add anything? Any questions? Got a technical problem here. Okay. So I have a technical problem. My slides is not moving forward. So for now, I just explain it to you without showing you the slides. I don't know.
Hello everybody, I think there's some problem.
Yeah, there is a problem here. So I just explain it to you without. Hello, who is speaking?
Hello everyone, can everybody hear me?
Yes. Who is speaking?
Yes, we hear you.
بخیر مستاذ disconnect شدک.
Who is speaking?
Hello. Yes,
yes,
true. Yes, right. I think there's some trouble.
Okay.
Hope is going to fix it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Okay.
Hey, buddy.
Okay. So let's continue. The next concept that I want to talk to you about is indicators of leadership effectiveness. When there is leadership, there are certain indicators that show that if the leader is effective or not. Sometimes, can you guys hear me?
Buddy.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, so hello, hello, hello. Hello? Hello? Okay, everyone. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. I was disconnected for some reason. There was a technical problem. I don't know why. Okay, awesome. So let's continue. Let's continue. For some reason, I missed my slides. Let me just. Okay. Okay, good. So, we always want to measure the effectiveness of a leader. For us to be able to understand whether a leader is effective or not, we need some indicators. What are those? One of them is the extent of enhancement of the team, enhancement of the qualities of the team, enhancement of the quality of the organization. Okay. Can everyone hear me, please? Okay. So, very good. So basically, when you enhance sales, profits, profit margins, market share, return on investment, return on asset, productivity, value of corporate stock, all of these are ways for people to measure whether you're a good leader or not. Then the next way is the attitude of the followers and their perception of the leader. So some people just think that a leader has to just bring numbers, and as far as they bring sales and profits, they're good leaders. But definitely, most definitely, the attitude and perception of the followers from the leaders is also a very, very important measure. So basically, one of the major measurements or indicators of a successful leader is if the leader is able to impress the followers, whether the followers think highly of their leader, so their leader is well respected. If the leader in the eyes of the followers is not respected, basically he is not necessarily a great leader, because just bringing numbers like profits and increasing the value of the shares is not enough. For sure, is not enough. You need your followers to really respect you, trust you, and believe you're the leader, so that you can have them or motivate them to do stuff that you expect them to do. You can talk to them, communicate with them. For whatever you want to do as a leader, there is a social process involved. So definitely you need respect of the staff. That's very important. So it's very important to understand that the followers play a major role in leadership. You need to understand without your followers, you can't do anything. So you need to create that respect in their mind, not by threatening them, but by really earning their respect. The leader's contribution to the quality of group processes perceived by others. Outsiders also will look at you or the process and will judge you. So they would be fair judges, because you can influence them in the sense that they are not part of the company. So what they see is basically clear in many respects, because they exactly see what is going on. And then also, you, as a leader, a successful career as a leader for one who is a leader would also indicate that they have the leadership qualities and they can perform as a leader when it comes to it. So these are also different ways of leadership measurement. So there's a chain effect basically to be discussed. We have the inspiring vision, then the follower effort, training and coaching followers' skills will end up in quality and productivity, and finally unit profits. It's very simple. First, you inspire your employees. You need to have their respect. You need to understand them, know their needs and everything. So, and you inspire them. You inspire them if you give them the vision of the company. You share the vision of the company. There's a misspelling here. It's vision, V-I-S-I-O-N, not V-I-A-I-O-N. So the vision of the company. So you inspire them with the vision. You need to know the vision of the company as a leader and inspire the employees. So when you inspire them, they put efforts in following the vision. And then the second one, you need to train them. You communicate them with the programs you put, the training and everything, and you develop some skills in your followers. So your followers are inspired, they put effort, at the same time they have the right skills. So when they put that together, they can create quality and productivity. And then finally, that will all end in your profit. So as you can see, there's a very logical pattern, how you can inspire them and how you can train them, and they can use both of them together and get what you really want to do. So that's the chain effect of a leader. Then characteristics of a leader, what we have here is like motives, personality of a leader. They have to have values, integrity, and moral development. They need to have confidence and optimism. They need to be confident people. If they don't have any confidence in themselves, how could they develop people? They need to be confident. And then they need to be positive. Negative people won't work. You need to have positive people. And then they need to have this right skills and expertise to walk people through, coach people. And also, they need to show some leadership behavior. They can't just be titled as a leader and role play as a normal person. They need to show some leadership behavior. And then they need to have tactics in order to be able to influence the followers. So those tactics become very handy and helpful. And they need to give recognition or attributions about followers, and they need to understand followers. And also their mental models, like their beliefs and assumptions, are very important. You need to make fair assumptions, and you need to have right beliefs as a leader to be able to be successful. And then characteristics of a follower: their needs, their values, and self-concepts, their understanding of themselves, their values that they're pursuing, and what they need. Confidence and optimism that is basically communicated from leadership team to their staff. They need to get the right skills and expertise. Attributions about the leader. They can identify themselves with the leader also. So if they can't identify themselves with the leader, they won't be able to, communicate. Then they need to be committed to the task that they're given to, which is the goal that they discussed, and they need to put some effort. And satisfaction with job and the leader. That's about the part that I said, the perception of the staff or followers from the leader is very important. If they don't like their leaders, if their leader is not a likable person, that sort of detracts from their productivity. So they need to be happy where they are. They need to be happy with what the leader is giving them and the job. So that happiness, that satisfaction motivates them, and they can do much better rather than just being there and not being able to perform. Cooperation and mutual trust. They have to cooperate together, and they need to have mutual trust. And then the characteristics of the situation. First, the type of organization unit. What unit are we talking about? What type of organization? The size of it. The position, power, and authority of the leader. How powerful and authoritative is the leader? How much possible it is for the leader to make real changes. And then task structure and complexity. What is the complexity of the task that the leader is assigning to the employees? And then organizational culture. What is the culture of that organization? Environmental uncertainty and change. So that is also important. Sometimes you have a very stable, with a great culture. I mean, your organization has a stable policy, a great culture, but your environment is not ready for it. It's so uncertain, so turbulent, so unreliable. External dependencies and constraints. Sometimes there are external limitations that you can't do anything about it. And national cultural values. Those are all important factors that come into play. And then finally, we want to talk about different approaches to leadership. Trait approach. This approach emphasizes previous leaders such as personality, motives, values, and skills. So underlying this approach was the assumption that some people are natural leaders. So they're endowed with that traits, and so these attributes are just for them. So this is one way of looking at leadership, which is just you're given that talent naturally. Okay, I'll go back to slide 16 for you to copy. You will get all these slides today. They'll mail it to you. Yes, you will get all the slides. The admin will send you all the slides like the previous slides. So don't worry about it. So in this way, the approach is, so the first one was that people are born with that. The next approach is basically the behavior of the leaders is important. So they pay more attention to what managers actually do on the job. So it's like what type of behavior, responsibilities, functions, or activities does a leader does. So in this way of looking at things, we're more looking to how the behavior of the leader changes the organization. So we focus on the behavior, the behavior of the leader, and we sort of follow in order to be a successful leader. The third approach is power influence. So it examines the influence process between the leader and other people, how the influence on the staff or the followers is effective or not. So basically, it determines how the leaders influence the attitudes of behaviors of the others. So how powerful they are in doing that. Participative leadership is concerned with power sharing and empowerment of the followers, but it's firmly rooted in traditional behavior search. So participative leadership that we discussed about the previous session uses a lot of that. Then situational approach emphasizes on the importance of contextual factors and influence leadership process. So what are the contextual, like the same concept we just talked about, external forces, the context, the company, all these will also be influential. An integrative approach is the more than one type of leadership is in different type of leaderships mixed together so that they become better leaders. Okay. So here is the end of the slides for this chapter. Is there any questions so far or any comments before we end the session? Does anybody have any questions? Any comments? Yes, I haven't sent you the slides yet. I will have the admin send you all the slides of this session. Yes, sure. Instead of me sending the slides to you one by one, I will have the admin send you the slide. Thank you. Okay, leadership effectiveness, we talked about it, how we measure that. As we discussed in the previous slide here, basically leadership effectiveness is how effective they are. It's how we will see whether the leadership is working or not. So there are different ways for us to understand and measure if the leadership is effective. Is someone with the enhancement of the team in sales, profit, or as we also discussed, how the followers think of or perceive of the leader, and how the outsiders look at leader, and finally, how successful they have been in their leadership career. So all these are different ways for us to understand if a leader is effective or not. Okay, did I answer your question? Yes, I will have them send the slides for you after each session, and I'll do that. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. So seeing that we are all clear, sure, definitely we will. I'll try to send you all the slides for the whole semester. The only thing is the slides are not fully ready. The moment I get all the slides, I will definitely send it to you. I have already sent the slides to the admin, and I believe they have sent it to you all. I'll double check and have them send it to you. I did send the previous session for you and the syllabus, and this session I will email it to them so they can send it to you. But all the slides, as soon as I have them ready, I'll send them to the admin so they can send it to you. Sure, absolutely. And Mr. Akmal, I did definitely discuss the reference, the first session, and you have been emailed. You've been emailed the syllabus, so for sure you have the book over there. So I'll double check with the admin and see why you don't have it, and sure, make sure that you get it. Okay, so we finish the class here, and we go to the next one. Like maybe we have a couple minutes break. Maybe in 10 minutes time, we will start the next class. Okay, see you everyone. Thank you.